ass done right there. Bust, folks. Bust, folks. Yeah, MKK. Folks, you hit him? Let me see. Go ahead, folks. Oh, left. Make a left.
They were part of the Imperial Gangsters street gang that originated on Chicago's North Side in the early 1960s. Federal authorities tonight say the gang has evolved into a national organized crime threat, even though their gang color is pink and symbol is a cartoon character. Tonight, those seen here and several others under arrest are accused of multiple in Chicago, East Chicago, Indiana, and South Florida.
Just told me.
Almighty Alliance isn't just one gang, it's a coalition that grew out of decades of North Side street politics, prison alignments, and shifting wars. The term Almighty circulated long before folks and people was official, but by the 1970s it became a recognizable stamp tied to groups like the Simon City Royals, Insane Popes, and Latin Eagles, with the Imperial Gangsters later adopting it as well. As the Insane and Maniac split hardened in the early 1990s, these organizations often found themselves outside both camps, pushed into a separate lane where alliances became about survival, leverage, and shared enemies. What emerged especially by 1994 was an official Almighty banner linking multiple historic crews whose reputations were built through expansion, conflict, and independence.
Oh yeah. Maniac killer, bitch. John Love. All through y'all shit.
Just told me in the past 5 minutes is a bunch of bull, isn't it? Isn't it now? You're just putting on a show for me because I got a camera here, aren't you?
No, half of it. But the thing is, we can't be...
Half, 90%, how much? How much was bull?
20%.
Okay. See, I was out on the street asking people like you questions before you were born, probably.
Yeah.
And I can figure out bull when I hear it very easily. Let me get a close-up of your chain.
Almighty is a term that's been used for decades by gangs that later became associated with both folk and people, even before those alliances officially existed. By the 1970s, the word started showing up more often, especially among groups like the Simon City Royals, Insane Popes, and Latin Eagles. The Popes were using Almighty as far back as the 1950s, while the Royals picked it up around the mid-1970s. In 1978, these gangs entered the Folk Alliance through prison politics, which made them loosely connected through shared alignment. A year later, in 1979, the Maniac and Insane families began forming. Close allies of the Spanish Cobras were generally labeled Insane, while close allies of the Maniac Latin disciples became Maniacs. Even before that, the Royals and Popes had their own alliance known as the Royal Pope Nation, dating back to the early 1970s. But at that time there still wasn't any official Almighty coalition throughout most of the 1980s. Groups like the Latin Eagles and the RPN stayed tied to folks, but weren't bound together under any separate umbrella. In the late 1980s, the Imperial Gangsters began using the name Almighty Imperial Gangsters, but it wasn't connected to the Eagles, Popes, or Royals. Around that same period, alliances across the North Side started cracking. Major conflicts broke out, most notably the Eagles and Cobras in 1989, and the Imperial Gangsters and Maniac Latin disciples also in 1989. By 1992, the Insane and Maniac families became more official and structured, which left the Royals, Popes, Eagles, and Imperial Gangsters in an awkward position outside both camps. The Royals were increasingly clashing with Cobras, while the Imperial Gangsters were in conflict with Insanes and MLDs, so neither family was a fit. For the next few years, that meant both sides often treated them like outsiders. Finally, in 1994, Almighty became an official alliance bringing together the Insane Popes, Simon City Royals, Latin Eagles, and Imperial Gangsters under one banner. Ambrose, from the South Side, also joined the Almighty alignment. The Latin lovers attempted to join as well, but the Imperial Gangsters objected, and the lovers ended up aligning with the Insanes instead. In 1995, the Harrison Gents joined the Almighty side after feuding with fellow Insane groups. Unlike the Insane and Maniac families who tend to operate more tightly as unified blocks, Almighty sets are often more independent, handling business largely on their own.
ABC 7 and I team learned tonight that a federal grand jury in Miami indicted several alleged top members of a Chicago-based street gang. They're accused of committing multiple
Accused leading members of the Chicago and Florida gang created coast-to-coast chaos, according to federal law enforcement, operating an organization as if it was a Fortune 500 firm. According to the indictment, they were part of the Imperial Gangsters street gang that originated on Chicago's north side in the early 1960s. Federal authorities tonight say the gang has evolved into a national organized crime threat, even though their gang color is pink and symbol is a cartoon character. Tonight, those seen here and several others under arrest are accused of multiple murders in Chicago, East Chicago, Indiana, and South Florida. Among those accused, 25-year-old Leonel Leo Carrera, 27-year-old Alex Enrique A-Rock Samariba, and Ramon Porky Madruga, who was 28. During the federal investigation, agents say they found gang territory in Chicago given names such as Devil's Side and Dark Side. Franklin Park was called the Jungle, and Northwest Indiana was Harbor or No Love Side.
Around here, right now, we don't have no guns. And if anything, I'll admit we do use baseball bats once in a while if needed. We may even use a blade or so. But guns, we're trying to cease fire. That's what's going on right now, cease fire.
Now, about 90% of what you just told me in the past 5 minutes is a bunch of bull, isn't it? Isn't it now? You're just putting on a show for me because I got a camera here, aren't you?
No, half of it. But the thing is, we can't be...
Half, 90%, how much? How much was bull?
20%.
Okay. See, I was out on the street asking people like you questions before you were born, probably.
Yeah.
And I can figure out bull when I hear it very easily.
Right.
Now, half of it was bull, wasn't it?
Not half of it. Thing is, we can't...
How much?
We can't be frank with you because
how much
this is going to
bull?
be publicized. And if it is publicized, we can't tell you where we're getting our guns from.
Well,
If
then-
any-
One train 9, IG. We straight March time.
What's up?
What's up, folks?
What's up, folks? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, G?
What up, homicide trade 9, boom. You know what I'm saying? For life. That's
For
how
life?
we do it on this side. For real,
G
nigga.
over here, trade
Look at the mob. Go take a look at the mob. We all like this.
We mob deep.
In the mid-1960s, a small multi-ethnic group of kids hung around Race and Damon and the nearby Grand Levitt YMC in West Town, because bigger crews like the Gaylords, C-Notes, and Lazy Gents targeted them. The youths formed their own club and started calling themselves Mighty Grand. As they grew, they clashed with several neighborhood groups and built an early alliance with the Harrison Gents. By 1969, some Mighty Grand members relocated into West Humboldt Park near Grand/Division and the Cameron School area, recruiting mostly local youths and rebranding as the Mighty Grand Gangsters. Around this same era, Hispanic students formed the Imperial Spanish Gangsters as a school-based club for protection. In 1971, younger Logan Square kids brought the group to the streets around Drake and Palmer, Armitage and Drake, mainly reacting to harassment from nearby white gangs. By 1972, as older members aged out, the group dropped Spanish and became the Imperial Gangsters, adopting a more organized crime syndicate image tied to their Armitage-Drake area and a local theater hangout. While early rivalries stayed mostly focused on white gangs before expanding wider. From 1976-1982, IGs opened and fought to hold turf in Hermosa, then expanded into wider coalitions and suburbs. In 1978, IGs helped form the United Latino Organization with groups like the Spanish Cobras, Maniac Latin Disciples, and Latin Eagles, aligning with the Folks framework as it spread street level by the early 1980s. Starting in 1979, IGs built major suburban chapters, especially Franklin Park, the Jungle, plus Northlake, Des Plaines, Rosemont, Bensonville, and later Cicero. The word Almighty also began showing up around 1979 as an early label IGs used alongside relationships with groups like the Latin Eagles and Simon City Royals. Later, behind bars, a Latin folks governing structure was drafted around 1980, often described as tied to La Tabla SGD in some accounts. By the mid to late 1980s, internal folks tensions and folks-on-folks conflicts intensified. IGs experienced internal disputes, then a major war with the maniac Latin disciples that spilled into wider conflicts within sane-aligned sets. By 1991 to 1992, some IG sections closed under the pressure of overlapping wars and shifting alliances, setting the stage for the next era of reorganizations and rivalries. Simon City started.
Alright, yeah. Make this right, make this right. Make this right. Make this right. Go straight. What? I know where they go. Spalding? Right now. Spalding? Spalding? Up the one right here. One right here. Wait. Pause a little bit. People. That's done right there. Bus, folks. Yeah, MKK! Folks, you hit him? Let me see. Go ahead, folks. Oh, left. Make a left.
Oh, look. Gucci man don't even got this car.
Drive itself. It's gonna drive itself when I blast that right now.
Personally. No poop pod. Top down. Chopper on deck.
Out here, you know,
don't get top down.
In the hood.
Catch up.
Yeah,
where the MK's at, man? And this is the music we listen to when we pull rolls. Unlike you wanna be rapping.
They need that to boost their blood up. They need Future. Y'all need Future Meek Mills to get your blood going. Watch him not blast you right now. Watch him not blast your pussy. Shut up.
Turning.
Started in 1956 when teenage greasers in West Humboldt Park formed a club around Almira Simons Park. Drake and Wabanzia, founder, named it after the park, and while the neighborhood was heavily Italian at the time, the club wasn't exclusively Italian. Early Simon City used black and white colors. They formed mainly for camaraderie and neighborhood identity. But as more greaser clubs popped up, Simon City quickly built a reputation as one of the toughest groups in the area. Their earliest major conflict with what became the Latin Kings is often traced to the 1959 mid-1960s period, as Puerto Rican migration increased in nearby Humboldt Park West Town and street tensions rose. A second generation followed in the early 1960s, and by the mid-60s Simon City's center of gravity shifted into Logan Square, including spots like Cortlandt and Whipple. Around 1966-1968, Simon City also developed a notable alliance with the Bel Airs and participated in community-style efforts. Meanwhile, a separate crew called the Royals formed at Lakeview High School around 1968-1969, centered near Irving Park and Ashland, with a diverse original lineup and blue light blue identity. After Simon City declined around 1969, it resurfaced strongly in 1970-1971, and in 1971 a key merger happened. A member helped combine Simon City influence with the Lakeview Royals, creating the Simon City Royals. Through the early to mid-1970s, SCR expanded fast Lakeview, North Center, Avondale, and later Albany Park, while also developing intense rivalries. They also took part in the WPO ceasefire era, 1971, and built prison street alliances that fed into the broader folks' identity by the late 1970s, early 1980s. By 1979, SCR is often described as part of a loose, almighty alignment alongside Insane Popes, Latin Eagles, and Imperial Gangsters, while also continuing major growth into places like Rogers Park, West Ridge, and several suburbs. The 1980s brought national reach, especially Mississippi, then other states, but also heavier law enforcement pressure, leadership changes, and neighborhood shifts. In the 1990s, gentrification, incarceration, and costly internal folks conflicts shrank older city footprints. concentrating what remained into a smaller set of Chicago neighborhoods while out-of-state chapters continued to grow and evolve. The Pope started
the best Jen love Miklo G for the motherfucker has your first name. What's up,
If I can kill a bitch, shit, y'all out here, bitch. What's up, dude? Hey, what up?
Oh yeah. Maniac killer bitch, Jen love.
South. The Harrison Gents traced their origins to the near West Side. In 1957, a mixed group of Puerto Rican, Irish, and African-American boys around Harrison and Western kept getting targeted by nearby crews and were forced into defending themselves. By 1959, they formally organized as the Harrison Gents, named for Harrison Street, with gents reflecting their self-image as well-mannered gentlemen. They adopted purple as their color, a popular look in that era. Through the 1960s, they grew and expanded from their early hangouts near Claremont Playlot, Flournoy in Western, and pushed into Westtown East Village Wicker Park, where they clashed with groups like the Latin Kings, Gaylords, and others as the neighborhoods rapidly changed. They also opened a 26th Street Little Village presence in 1966, but that branch faded by the late 1970s as new conflicts and shifting alliances reshaped the area. A major turning point came in 1969 when the Gents established a strong chapter in Uptown, Kenmore and Ainsley, during the period of heavy racial tension and gang wars. Early on, the Harrison Gents and Latin Kings were close allies in Uptown against shared enemies. But by 1979, the relationship collapsed into open war after deletions escalated the conflict. As jail and street politics changed, the Gents moved into the folk orbit by the early 1980s, while also building influence beyond the city, most notably a foothold in Bensonville and later operations in Cabrini Green in the early 1980s. By the mid-1990s, long-running tension with the Ashland Vikings boiled over again. After earlier friction, dating back to the 1980s, grew into a sustained conflict. The Gents shifted away from the insane alignment and joined the almighty side, becoming known as the Almighty Harrison Gents.
We at home, man. The land right here. This is Dickinson County.
This shit been hood since day one. Like, niggas really from this.
Come on now, everybody got a little bit of cheese. Everybody got cheese over here, man.
Cover killer all day.
Breaking black, cranking, and pay, stop playing. I got this at the age of 12, folks.
Everybody around you right now got holes in them.
Zippers in this bitch, gang. Niggas that shot me, I ain't seen them since. All day, we traffic on my sons.
All the niggas went down, man. All these niggas around us. Remember that shit, 2016.
This is all the ops could do, bench. Probably the most dangerous people alive in this shit right now.
Ain't never been no least known. We've been the most in control.
All my land, you world, period.
Wow. Cobra killer, bitch. You know, we come to psycho killer, nigga.
If you didn't kill a Cobra killer or new killer, don't associate you,
The Latin Eagle story tracks with Puerto Rican migration into Chicago's North Side. In the late 1950s, early 1960s, major construction and redevelopment uprooted Puerto Rican communities in Old Town and the near West Side, pushing families into neighborhoods like Lakeview, Uptown, Lincoln Park, Wicker Park, and West Town. As numbers grew, Puerto Rican youth faced heavy harassment from established white gangs, leading to small defense cliques forming in Lakeview. In 1964, members of groups like the Top Cats and Emerald Knights began meeting and unified into the Latin Eagles, with early roots around Grace and Wilton. Through the late 1960s, the Eagles expanded in Lakeview, Wrigleyville, and developed major rivalries, especially with the Harrison Gents, Latin Kings, and later the Puerto Rican Stones, while also having ties to the Young Lords era of Puerto Rican community activism. At their height, Eagles' influence stretched roughly from Irving Park to Addison, Lakefront to Clark. In 1978, the Eagles entered the Folks Alliance and helped build the ULO Street Coalition with groups like the Spanish Cobras, Maniac Latin Disciples, and Imperial Gangsters. During the 1980s, they expanded into Uptown and later Hermosa, where they became a long-term presence. After major fractures in the late 1980s and the 1992 Insane and Maniac split, the Eagles refused to join either side and instead moved closer to the Almighty Coalition alongside Imperial Gangsters, Simon City Royals, and Insane Popes. By the mid to late 1990s, the Eagles were caught in heavy wars on multiple fronts, while their strongest legacy remained in Hermosa and their original Lakeview Wrigleyville chapter. Popes started around 1960 on Chicago's northwest side, especially Avondale Irving Park, with early sections tied to Kilburn Park and Brands Park, plus a long-running presence in West Town, Chicago and Wood, into the mid-1970s. In 1971, Popes were part of the WPO-era white gang unity scene, and in 1973 leadership is credited with expanding sections and cementing the insane identity. After that leader's death in 1975, the Popes faced heavy police pressure and internal disruption, and many drew closer to the Simon City Royals, forming the Royal Pope Nation Alliance. By 1978, through those alliances, Popes became connected to the folk orbit, though not every section followed it the same way. Through the 1980s-1990s, gentrification and enforcement shrank older turf, while some chapters reportedly spread outside Chicago, including into parts of the South. By the mid-1990s, the Almighty Alliance had become one of Chicago's most talked about umbrellas because it united long-established groups that operated more like independent powers than a tightly controlled family. With the Popes, Royals, Eagles, Imperial Gangsters, and later the Harrison Gents under the Almighty label, the alliance represented a response to being squeezed by bigger faction politics while still maintaining separate leadership, turf interests, and rivalries. Even as enforcement pressure, gentrification, and internal folks conflicts reshaped Chicago's gang map, the Almighty identity endured as a symbol of older North Side structure, hard-earned territory, and a handle business ourselves mindset that set it apart from other alliances.